What is it like working for, on average, Europeans, whites?
White people in general, what you see is what you get.
Am I the only African American you've worked with before?
You're the second African American I've worked for.
What is the difference between, let's say, African Americans or those in the diaspora?
African Americans and Ugandans that are from the diaspora, or maybe like Ugandans born in the USA or in Europe.
Yeah.
They're very similar, but the thing is, when they come back to Uganda, I'm talking about the Ugandan diaspora, they don't fully forget the African in them, but there's a lot of gray area when it comes to telling the truth and being accountable.
Hi guys, welcome to Uganda. This is the Repat Podcast. My name is Janita Maya and I am joined by...
My name is Gilbert Katumba. I'm a chef and an entrepreneur.
Welcome, Gilbert.
Welcome, Chef Gilbert. All right, Master Gabs, back in the building. Happy to be here as always.
Oshay Duke Jackson. Let's get into it. So, Chef, you've had a lot of experience. You know, you lived a lot of places like Zambia. Yes. Where else?
Kenya, Tanzania, the Middle East.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Some parts of Europe.
Been everywhere.
Not really.
International play.
So you one of those rich Negroes. Okay, cool. And you've had a lot of experience, as you lived in Uganda, working with like the U.S. Embassy, people like that.
Yes.
Europeans, Americans. So most Ugandans wouldn't have your insight to working for the European diaspora as you have.
I suppose not.
Yeah. Okay. And then you've also been working with me in Uganda for, since 2020.
Yeah, since 2020.
Okay. And one day, we're actually close friends.
Allegedly.
I ain't gonna have both y'all insult me on the podcast. We've been talking about just off the grid about your experiences working for Europeans and somebody like myself, which is the African American community.
Yes.
And those differences we wanted to share with the audience today. So let's kind of get started with how you started working with Europeans in your background, or whites in Uganda.
So I was born in Uganda, but due to the work of my parents, I had the opportunity of growing up in different countries.
When you say your parents, your Ugandan parents or?
Yeah, my Ugandan parents.
Okay.
I've had the opportunity of growing up in different countries and interacting with like different people. I studied in international schools. So I've interacted with a lot of people of different races and ethnicities and backgrounds. And in that way, it made sense for me to work for the people in the diaspora than the people, say, in Uganda or Kenya, because I find it easy. It doesn't take a whole lot of explaining for me to start working immediately. Explaining
what would you have to explain to somebody from Uganda?
There's no training wheels necessary.
Give me an example.
An example would be timekeeping. So in Uganda, timekeeping is more of a suggestion. If I tell you, let's meet somewhere at midday, it's more like a suggestion. If somebody came at 2, that'd still be okay, which isn't the case in most other places. You know, if somebody tells you midday, it has to be midday. You know what I mean? Yeah. The other thing is, silly excuses that people give here.
Such as what?
It rained. There was traffic jam.
Yeah.
I mean, you should have thought of that before.
Sure.
Starting your journey. You should have put that into account and realized, hey, I need to go from point A to point B.
Okay.
But there's probably going to be traffic. It's not new to you. You're not new in the area. You should know how long it's going to take you from point A to point B. You can't use that as an excuse. And I find that a lot of people here do. And, it's acceptable. Okay,
let me also say this. You also had the experience of your parents in Uganda afforded you to meet other people, but you also had white parents.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
I primarily grew up around Americans, call them my parents. In that situation, I got to experience the Ugandan way of doing things and the American way of doing things. So I got to experience both worlds. And there's very big differences between the two settings. You know, on the general, Americans expect you to be truthful, punctual, that sort of thing. Not to dig on my fellow Africans, but there's a lot of gray area when it comes to telling the truth and being accountable. For example, like, you know, somebody will tell you, oh, I bought this 5,000 shillings. If you sent them for something like this, he'll tell you, oh, it's 5,000 shillings, because they're looking to make a quick buck. My American family, you were sort of just expected to be honest, be truthful. If
there's a great level of transparency.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a difference in your opinion.
Yes.
All right. Now you've worked for, let's say, me, a person that is
African American,
born in America, African lineage from West Africa somewhere, don't know. Okay. And then you work for people here.
Yes.
Have you worked with people in the African diaspora, like Ugandan Americans, people like, let's say, for example, Gaba, people like that?
I have.
Okay.
I have.
Can we also compare them in this conversation? Okay.
Yes.
What is it like working for, on average, Europeans, whites?
White people in general, they what you see is what you get on the surface level. You know, if he tells you, I want you to work for me, this is, you know, these are the terms and conditions, you can expect that. You can't expect any hidden. So if he tells you, you know, I expect you to work 6 hours a day, come on these days and these days, and I'll pay you on this date, that's what you can expect.
Okay.
In general, the Ugandans that I've worked for, they say one thing and then, you know, do something completely different. We'll pay you 3 million shillings a month. And then when you start working, all of a sudden it's 1.2. And then they'll be like, oh, don't worry about it. We'll talk more. And
Let me just stop you there.
Yeah.
From 3 million shillings, let me kind of give somebody, one of my editors here, give us what this is in US dollars. It's almost $800, something like that.
Yeah.
And 1.2 is like 40% of the amount, which is close to maybe like $350.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
They would do something crazy like that. And then, you know, you'd be like, but we talked about this. We agreed. That's why I'm working here. Why are you all of a sudden, you know, changing things? And he'll be like, no, that's what we're going to pay you in the future. We're not paying you that now. And then I'm like, so why am I here? You know, because my understanding was 3 million shillings.
Right.
You know? And then he's like, oh, we'll see next month.
Okay.
You know? Or even like subcontracts where I'm not really working on a monthly basis. Somebody will tell you, how much do you charge for your services? And you'll be like, I don't know, $200. And they'll be like, great, that's perfect. When can you start?
Okay.
I can start immediately. Then you start, do the work, they're pleased. Then they'll send you like half of the money. And they'll be like, why don't you come to my office for the rest of them? And you'll be doing that for like 3 weeks. You'll be coming to somebody's office.
And they're purposely not there.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're purposely not there. You call them, they'll be like, I'm literally at the mobile money agent right now. I'm sending it right now.
Okay.
Right now, I'm sending it. 2 minutes, you know.
And you don't get the money.
No, you don't get the money.
Okay. Now, in comparisons to, you've worked for, am I the only African-American you've worked with before?
You're the second African-American I've worked for.
So what is the difference between, let's say, African-Americans or those in the diaspora? You know, I would include somebody like a Gaba or whoever else that had experience outside.
African-Americans and Ugandans that are from the diaspora, or maybe like Ugandans born in the USA or in Europe.
Yeah.
They're very similar, but the thing is, I feel like when they come back to Uganda, I'm talking about the Ugandan diaspora, when they come back to Uganda, they don't fully forget the African in them, you know? On the general, they'll do what they say they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Once in a while, there'll be that instance where you're like, he's done something, or he promised to do something and he didn't do it. But in general, they don't try to be what they found here.
Okay.
You know, they try their level best to be different.
Okay.
You know, to be transparent. And this is the thing, is that Uganda, sometimes you have to do business like that. You know, it forces you to do business, to become that, you know.
Become what?
To be like every other Ugandan, because of the people that you're dealing with. They behave like that, so you start adopting those tiny little things, regardless of whether you're from the diaspora or, you know. That's not the case with African Americans, at least not in my experience. They tend to be, by and large, quite transparent, you know, very much like white people.
Like whites. Okay.
Yes.
Let me kind of get into the aspect of pain and just like the treatment and the racism that we talked about.
Yes.
With the Europeans, that's subtle.
Yes.
And the freedom maybe that you might get working with the blacks.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have the business every day, but now let's talk about the Europeans.
It's not like outright racism. Sometimes white people, bless their souls, they say something, and you as a person of color,
right,
it rubs you the wrong way.
Such as what?
Oh, you know, somebody will say, "You speak very good English."
Okay.
It sounds like a compliment,
right,
but it's backhanded at the same time.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
It's like somebody's saying you're not supposed to speak good English. You know what I mean? Like, no matter how educated you are, you're not supposed to be on my level.
Okay.
You're supposed to be,
yes,
maintain your place, you know, in society.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
If, say, you use a glass like to drink water, they'll have that brief micro expression on their face. You know what I mean?
What is it? Like what?
You know, just a brief expression, like they'll curl their brow like very briefly, you know?
Like in disgust.
Yeah. It's one of those blink and you'll miss it kind of thing. Like,
they must have really didn't like you because you must have noticed that a lot.
I mean, going to international schools, sometimes, you know, kids aren't like adults. Kids don't know what they're doing is not right. It's not, adults are socially responsible for the most part. Kids, they'll do something like, you know, they'll come and touch your hair and be all weird and stuff and be like, "Why is your hair like that? Is something wrong with you?" Or, you know, "Why is the palm of your hand this color, but this doesn't match this?"
Oh.
You know, they don't mean to be racist,
but they are.
but they are.
Okay.
Chef, you'll have to pardon me. I have so many questions.
Yes.
I saw him pondering, you know what I mean?
I have so many questions that I have to ask because, like, I mean, I've known you for a better part of a year now and some change, and I find you to be a very interesting but mysterious guy.
Right.
I really don't know anything about you up until now.
Okay.
And I'm learning all of this afresh.
Wow.
So all I know is that you are a hell of a chef. You cook delicious food, and you're multi-talented, multifaceted in terms of baking, cooking, all of that stuff. Outstanding, right? But in terms of your life story, I know nothing.
Right.
Because I've never asked. We've never been in a forum to have that conversation. So I'm curious, like, okay, so I have some questions that are going to help me
understand the
exposition of all of this, right? So when you say your Ugandan parents were were fortunate enough through their job situation to put you in a position to go to international schools. Was that international schools here? Did you live abroad? What country specifically were you living in where you encountered your international education?
Right. I've gone to international schools here in Kenya, Tanzania, and a small country called Malawi.
And what ages were these?
I was young, starting from the age of, I want to say 6 to like in my teen years.
And the American family that you refer to as your parents, what country were you in when you met them?
All of these countries, we met them here.
You met them here in Uganda?
Yes.
And then you had the opportunity to have an extended relationship with them, right?
I consider them very much part of my family, and they
Awesome.
do the same.
How did you enter the profession of being a chef? Were you schooled? Were you educated in a Cordon Bleu Institute? Where did you study?
It's interesting you ask that. I didn't picture myself as a chef until 10 years ago.
Okay.
My life projection was something radically different. I went to Makerere University. I got disillusioned with the work that I was doing at the time. I pondered for a few months. I asked myself, what do I really want to do? So I have many passions. No doubt, as we get to know each other, you get to know some of these.
Yep.
As you said, I'm multifaceted, and I do consider myself very much that. And I wanted something. See, I have a brain that doesn't settle down. It needs nourishment. It needs new experiences all the time. If I'm stuck doing a 9-to-5 job on a desk, I'd lose my mind.
Yeah.
So I was looking for something that combines my greatest loves, which are art and science. And lo and behold, I came up with cooking as one of the ways to do that. And I actually went to a catering school for 2 years, learned cooking skills. I trained in a hotel called Southern Sun in Zambia. And I found it interesting. It was exhilarating. It was new. It was broad. It was, sometimes the commercial kitchen can be unhinged.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I found that exciting. And I decided to take that challenge on, Unlike most of my peers who focus and zone in on one thing, I decided, hey, why not? Why can't I do it all? Why can't I make my own kimchi, ice cream, donuts, cupcakes, whatever. Everything is available to me. All I need to do is learn. And that's what I'm doing. It's a learning process for me. Okay. I'm still learning.
Okay.
There's a lot that I still don't know.
Okay.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing that background with me, because now this helps me understand a little bit with a lot more clarity.
Yes.
Back to kind of the questions around the differences between the different cultural groups that you've had the opportunity to work with. Because, in my life, I've been in a situation where we've hired and employed many chefs and cooks, right? From having a very high level chef, skills, at home, somebody who, much like yourself, worked within international clientele bases and worked for this ambassador and worked for that ambassador and was responsible for a lot of high level execution, to employing people in a restaurant setting, right? I've been through all of those levels of evaluating somebody's mindset and skill set at the same time.
Right.
And I think there's a vast difference between a cook and a chef.
Oh yeah.
And somebody who sees themselves as a cook and somebody who sees themselves as a chef.
Yes.
Cook is somebody who can get in the kitchen and chop and boil and mix and sample flavors and do all of these things to present a very nice tasting dish on a plate. But a chef has organizational skills, planning, leadership, imagination, a vision toward career, defining achievements. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so in a lot of instances, maybe some of that clientele that you worked with is also looking for the sensibilities of a chef.
Yes.
While others will settle for the sensibilities of a cook.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So back to the question at hand now. When you're working for a European client, are they looking for somebody who's going to apply the mindset and the skill set of a chef versus a cook? And is that why some of those working dynamics can be a little bit more refined and strict versus maybe somebody in a community that just wants somebody to cook them food that tastes nice? And maybe those are looser defined working relationships.
So I've had the opportunity of working for somebody who is a high income individual.
Yeah.
He manages a hedge fund. I don't know if he's going to be comfortable about me talking about it, so I won't mention him. He would expect what you imagine a private chef does. You know, he is very hands off and leaves everything entirely to your sensibilities. You will design a menu for the week and dictate what he eats, all according to how well you know him, and everything, the flavor profile, everything else is entirely up to you. And all he wants to see is a nice fancy meal in front of him. And he's very nice. He'll even fly you out of the country just so he can have this, you know. And you will have, with somebody like that, typically almost zero interaction. Apart from him saying, here's your payment, and the meal was lovely, and I'm expecting 15 guests next week. That's almost all the interaction you're ever going to get out of him. You know, his time is valuable.
Yeah, very.
If he doesn't like you, you're out of there. No questions asked. You're just gone, you know, because he doesn't have the time or the patience to put up with any shenanigans.
Right.
What he outlines in the job description, you must follow that to the letter. Now, is he responsible for how his guests interact and behave with you? You know, the guests will be guests, you know. Sometimes you have those kind of friends that aren't fit to be in a social gathering.
Right.
They're your friends. And in such an instance, you would find somebody who has questionable behavior. When I was just starting out, I worked for an American diplomat, and she had a family with children. I was expected to do, she didn't want the fancy 5-star treatment. She just wanted to make sure her kids are fed. They like what they eat.
Was she a single mom or she married her?
No, she was married, and I'm going to get to that. So she was married to a Chinese gentleman. And
she's white?
Yeah, she's white.
Okay.
So she has 2 kids, precious little things. And as long as they're happy, she's happy with your work. Because basically, what she really wanted was somebody who can cook kid-friendly meals, doesn't have to be complicated, plus her dinner and maybe like a meal to take to work the next day. That's it. And maybe like you may want to bake like cookies and snacks for the children. She viewed me very much as a part of like, not family, but, you know, extended family, you would say.
So there was a pleasant relationship.
Yeah.
They had an affinity for you.
Yeah.
Her kids loved you.
Yeah. And she would say sometimes, you know, you want to stay for dinner, stay for dinner and eat with us, you know. Her husband, whole other story. You know, when he was around, because he worked abroad.
Yes.
But sometimes he'd come. When he was around, he doesn't want anybody touching anything that's going to go into his mouth.
Uh-huh.
You know?
Doesn't trust you.
No.
Okay, let me ask this.
Yes.
Because now your experience working with like the Europeans, there's a Chinese person. Now me as an African American or the African Americans, what is our interaction? Like, how do you feel like me as a person sees blacks? Do you feel like, you know, you're closer to us than the rest of the people? And why is it the case? I mean, that's kind of what I wanted to get.
Yeah. Okay. So now my interaction with you, radically different.
And I'm not trying to bring him here to, I make a lot of mistakes.
Yes.
I have a lot of fuckboy energy, so it's not like I'm trying to do this to, but in general, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. We're close and in a different kind of way, you know? We're both black people.
Yes.
But obviously we're quite different.
Yes.
You know? But I feel like us being the same race, it's just different from if you were a person, a white person.
Why? Why is it different? I mean, we're black. Okay, that's nice.
Yeah. And I know in some ways a line is drawn where, you know, I don't understand certain situations because they don't apply to me.
Yes. And vice versa.
Yeah. It's not my life experience. It's not my people's life experience.
Yes.
But for the most part, we share this, honestly, bond.
Yes.
Because we have been looked at a certain way by other races.
Right.
That tends to bring people together.
Yes.
You know, and you tend to feel a sort of brotherhood.
Okay.
In that way. Not to say that there isn't situations where we would be completely different people.
Yes.
And I think I told you this at some point. I said that to an ordinary Ugandan, you're still Mzungu.
Yes.
You're still a foreigner.
Yes.
You know, you may be the same color as us.
Yes.
But you're not us, you know?
Well, let me just say this before you go to her.
Yeah.
I know I'm hogging everything today.
Yeah.
Do you feel like dealing with African Americans that we're shocked that you speak good English? Are we shocked that you can speak good English? Do you think?
Are you?
No.
Were you shocked
no.
at the beginning?
It did. No, I was.
What did you imagine when you heard me speaking to you on the phone?
I didn't imagine anything.
Yeah, it didn't cross your mind.
No.
Yeah. See,
And that's the point that we're trying to make.
Yeah.
I was not shocked that you could do whatever that you were doing at the level that you were doing. It didn't shock.
Yeah.
When black people are doing excellent things, I feel like whites are shocked by that.
Yes.
But for me, I had no limitations on your ability.
Yes.
Is what I'm trying to prove. Although you were not African American,
No.
it didn't make me want to treat you less because you were Ugandan also.
Right.
It didn't make me want to limit you. Let me ask you one last thing. Do you feel that the Europeans in general, although they may pay on time and pay more, is there a limit? Do you believe that there's a limitation that they want to put on you because you are?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Very much so. Before I started working with you, I told you what I could do and the kind of stuff that I could make. You were not surprised. You were like, okay, great. You can do this. Wonderful.
I think the time you came over, I had like 4 million shillings on the table.
I remember it being more than that, but
oh, maybe more than that. Yeah. It's like $1,100, something like that, or maybe $2,000. I don't know.
Yeah. Very many instances, you would leave a large sum of money in the house with me, and this is when you hadn't even known me that long.
Right.
You'd known me like 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah, and you'd go away, take care of business, come back like 4 hours later. I haven't run away.
Yeah.
The money is still there.
Yeah. And I didn't expect you to run away.
No. I mean, I don't blame white people for behaving sometimes the way that they do. It could be based on past experiences. But the moment they realize, and this has been in my experience, that maybe some money is like they've left you alone in a room with some money. Could be as little as 10,000 shillings. They'll just come and try to be sly about it
and
too,
take it away.
You know, like I don't want to tempt fate,
right?
kind of way. You know,
Yeah.
if you don't trust the people that work for you,
Right.
Yeah. Okay, Chef, let me finally get a question.
Sorry.
As we come to the end of the episode.
Sorry.
Wait.
We're still rocking.
Yeah. No, I didn't know you had American parents. You call them American parents. That's the thing I don't understand. Even though Gabs like asked it again.
he gets it. It's so hard to explain. Yeah. Where did you think the accent came from?
I don't know. I thought you were around some white people somewhere.
I thought you grew up like abroad like me.
And then you got the accent.
Absolutely.
But the question is, all these countries you've been to, like, why did you finally return to Uganda? Just that, and then we wrap this up.
I came back to Uganda because this is a young and still growing economy. For somebody who's doing something like I'm doing, I have a lot of opportunity to take it to that next level. To be that guy that's at the apex, because not many people can say that they are, you know? And in that way, I can dictate what I'm paid. I know people, peers of mine, that work in Europe and the Middle East, and I make more than them.
They don't own anything there.
I make more than them. And, you know, they just have the prestige of working abroad. You know, that has never appealed to me. I feel like we as Ugandans, we as Africans, we need to invest more money. We need to bring in more money. We need to keep more of our money than taking it out. That's the only way that we can get out of the run that we're in right now. You know, that's the only way we can get out of, away from the boot, that's on our necks. It's really the only way.
It sounds like the white man got his foot on my neck kind of analogy.
Well, thank you, Chef.
Hold on. Gaba's, he's percolating. He's percolating.
We have a few more layers to this. We
got to build it up.
And here's a reason why. Right. Is that I can guarantee you there's somebody watching right now who's watching this video who works in the culinary profession.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Maybe an African-American person who's thinking about coming to Uganda, investing their time and their resources to start a business here in the food industry, right? Or maybe there's an independently employed private chef that could take a few lessons to be learned from this. I'm trying to dive a little bit deeper. Just let's take a few more minutes to dissect your entrepreneurial mindset.
Yes.
Okay? Because one of the things that kind of stuck with me with what you were mentioning earlier is that, on one hand, you have clients who will pay you on a strict schedule, who will adhere to structure and discipline when it comes to how you manage your working terms and conditions. And on the other hand, you have clients who will agree to one thing, but then shift the goalpost to do something else.
Absolutely.
I am of the opinion that as a trained professional who has a service to offer, you control the terms of your working relationship with your client. And for me, I'm wondering, how can somebody do a better job? Let's not look backward.
Okay.
Let's go forward, right?
Okay.
All of the lessons that you've learned from, let's say, for example, working with clientele that aren't necessarily established with the best track record of paying their chefs on time, right? What can a chef do to build some structure around their business model? Because at the end of the day, whether you're an independent chef who's getting paid through mobile money on a monthly basis, or you have a business and you're invoicing people and you're paying taxes against it, right? Everybody needs to be thinking with a business mindset and have some discipline around it. So is it about establishing a service contract? Making sure that things are legally binding? Like, what can a chef do, an independent chef do in 2024 going forward to make sure that they protect themselves from some of these riskier working dynamics?
Establish a working contract, legally binding.
Yes.
And, a lot of times people here, we don't have recourse because we can't afford attorneys. If somebody is not willing to be strict by themselves as a chef and say, hey, I'm a professional, if we're not doing this on a contractual, legally binding document, I'm not working for you. Don't do it. But then the other side of that is, who's going to employ you?
I mean, for me, that's why you have to draw the distinction between, am I a cook or am I a chef?
Yeah.
A guy who shows up just to cook spaghetti bolognese for your kids
but Agaba,
4 days a week and pound matoke in a pan for you and chop onions and boil potatoes for you, that's a fucking cook. A person who maintains organization and structure around your lifestyle and manages your health and nutrition, and who happens to do all of these things, presents such a very unique and specific value add to your life that there's a certain premium that needs to be placed upon what it is that they have to offer
here's the thing.
you. And if you, as a chef, Gilbert, can see that within yourself and understand, put some respect on what is it that I do, why can't another person who has the same things to offer put the same respect on themselves and present themselves that way?
Now, here's the thing. This economy, this country, they have broken the workforce to the point that they can't speak up for themselves. Not everybody, mind you. Not everybody. You know, even all the establishments that I've worked in, I've always ensured that I have a legally binding contract that is enforceable. And any time that anybody deviated from that, I threatened legal action. And I did follow through with it. You know, I have a lawyer on speed dial. That's how I protect myself. That's how I protect my business. Because that's what it has come to. But not everybody is in the kind of position that I am in. You know, and it starts with how they view themselves. I view myself as extremely professional.
You are.
And I view myself as, you know, not everybody can afford my services, and that's okay. You know, I view myself as an elite in what I do. That comes with its own set of conditions. You know, if you want my time,
right,
this is how much I value myself.
Okay.
You know, even chefs don't see themselves in that light. They still see themselves as employees. I don't see myself as an employee. I know I am Oshay's employee, but I don't see myself as an employee. I see myself as the fountain of all the sum of the knowledge that I have acquired. Because nobody's ever going to take that away from me. You know, if I chose to walk tomorrow, you know, my clients, like it or not, they're going to suffer a loss.
Truly, those red velvet cupcakes are the truth.
You know,
Chef, I'll tell you what, man, and I know Joan wants to wrap this up very badly.
You can see her there.
Here's
shaking the legs.
Here's the lesson that I've learned from you today.
Yes,
I think that you are, Chef. You have a beautiful mind. I think you are a very unique gentleman in terms of your mindset and the way that you think.
Thank you.
I've rarely seen somebody demonstrate the type of joy that you do when somebody looks impressed by what you've presented to them, right? You're very joyful in receiving that positive feedback and expressing how creative you decided to be in that moment when you were creating this unique culinary execution. So I think that, for me, makes you an outlier amongst all of the other chefs who are here in Uganda. There's some very excellent ones, by the way.
There are.
But I encourage you to, you know, continue on your entrepreneurial journey to kind of create a business that can allow others to participate in the vision that you have. Because there's a lot of young people out here who aspire to be professionals in this culinary field who could be mentored by a guy like you.
They should call me.
Who could have a lot of experience benefiting from understanding your mindset.
Right.
Because again, skills can be honed 10,000 hours in the kitchen, chopping.
I always say
all of that.
Anybody can cook.
Anyone can cook.
But
what is that secret sauce that you have that can use that you can rub off on and infuse within somebody else? So I'm looking forward to seeing that journey come to life, man, because I really believe that, you know, our food service industry is pretty mediocre.
Yes.
And we need a lot more people like you, Chef.
Yeah.
So hopefully you can express that spirit of yours and let more people appreciate and enjoy your genius.
No doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the perfect way to end this episode, guys.
Yes.
Chef, where can people find you, your amazing food and your secret sauce?
Come to the Kenganda parties, yo.
Yeah.
Come to the Kenganda parties.
Baked goods be off the chain.
You know?
Yeah.
Come to the Kenganda parties. You can contact me on WhatsApp. And if you're really serious, you can contact me on my email.
Put it up there.
All the details are going to be put up. But I'm very wary of social media because it doesn't send out the right message, you know? It can be very misleading.
What's on your social media?
You know, Instagram, TikTok. I'm not on that yet.
Are you on OnlyFans models or?
What are you on?
Do you guys know what?
Could be.
What?
My wife and I, we struggled to find a cook for our home for like 6 months.
Always.
We struggled, yo. A lot of fakes, phonies, wanksters, pranksters. I called Chef in 2 days.
You got someone.
He showed up at our crib with a chef, highly professional lady who's working for us to this day, and she is absolutely excellent. So I appreciate you for that recommendation,
Shout
sir.
out to
Thank you,
her.
sir.
Yes.
Yeah. Shout out to her, man.
So you're not on social media,
No, I'm
but
not
your
on social
WhatsApp
media.
number is there and your email number. So
Yes.
your email address is there
Email
for the
address
serious people.
is there for serious people.
Then the WhatsApp is for the unserious ones?
WhatsApp, I would say if you want to learn how I do what I do and how to become an independent chef,
Yeah.
you know, you're not depending on that end of the month salary, you know, contact me.
Yeah.
We'll do some training for a small fee.
Yeah. Just help us tell them the number so that it shows up on the screen.
Yeah. So my WhatsApp number is 0708.
Sorry, plus
Yeah,
256.
plus 256 708 791 730.
Perfect. Thank you. And
Let
then
me
your
just-
email address will be in
No,
the
so go
description.
right back.
Yes.
Yes. Oshay, please.
Yeah, so basically, Chef is he actually was following Kenganda, and during COVID,
Yes.
he sent me an email, and yeah, I've had the Chef ever since, you know, since almost going on 5 years now.
Yeah.
We've been to Kenya together. He was a chef awarded Maya and Miss Trudy 2 times when they came. They enjoyed themselves. So most African Americans that come to Uganda have anybody who comes here. There's no way you've been to my house and you don't know who
Yeah.
who the chef is, or if you come to any of our events and you have not experienced those legendary red velvet cupcakes or the chocolate
Also available for
The
order.
rice noodles.
Bailey's cupcakes or Bailey's chocolate chip cookies.
Cheesecake even.
We shouldn't even be giving y'all a shout out right
Glazed
now, but it's okay. We'll go ahead and V&A glazed don't. We shouldn't even be giving y'all a shout out right now, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Chef has not been good for my waistline.
Exactly. I was just about to mention that.
Right.
But yeah, Gabs, where can they find you?
Find me at Master Gabs on all platforms. Find me at the Allergic to Average YouTube channel as well. Shout out to the Allergic to Average viewership out there that are always determined to level up every day in every phase of life, and looking forward to seeing more out of that coming soon.
Lovely. Oshay.
Stay dusty forever, guys.
And with that, we end the episode. You can follow us on all our social media platforms at King and the Nation. And you can follow me at Janita Maya. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.